I don't think that they're quite the juggernaut that people are saying that they are.
In this video, I have an in-depth conversation with hip-hop artist Mac Lethal, who is from Kansas City and is a huge Chiefs fan, as he weighs in about the Super Bowl, gives his thoughts and predictions, and then shares why he thinks the Eagles are a bit overrated. But first, how about those? What's up, guys? Before we jump into this, a couple quick things. First, hit that like button if you want to see me do more collabs of like podcast style episodes like this in the future, especially in the off season when things are a little bit slower. And then second, Mac Lethal's camera did die about halfway through this episode, but we had his backup webcam recording, so you're gonna see the camera switch roughly halfway through this video, but the audio is crystal clear. He's using the same mic as me. It's a super dope, exciting conversation, and I do hope you guys enjoy it. Well, hey, I am here with a legend, Mac Lethal, Kansas City. I'm gonna give the bio and you can tweak it for me, okay? Ready? Here we go. This is what I got.
No problem.
A Kansas City native, hip hop artist, multiple albums, sold a ton, touring all over the place. YouTube channel, nearly 3 million subs, over 300 million views, and most importantly, at least for this conversation and this channel, is a huge Chiefs fan. How's that? Is that close?
That was spot on. Yeah, no, that works. I'm with it, man. I'm also a father, which is something I'm a father and a husband. So that's part of it. So
yes, sir.
Yeah, man, that was awesome. That was amazing.
Yeah, man. It's one of my greatest things in life is to be a dad. So I have a 2-year-old, almost 3 now, and a 6.5-year-old.
Wow.
How old are your kids? I'm curious.
So I have a 9-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter, and their birthdays are this month. So they're going to be 10 and 7. What are your kids? What are they? I know you have a little girl.
Yeah.
You have both little girls or 2 girls? Okay.
Hashtag girl dad all day. And
I love it, man.
My youngest, her birthday is in February, and my wife's. So we got a ton of February birthdays, man. And the Super Bowl.
Crazy.
Let's go.
The Super Bowl, both of my kids. Yeah, February is a good month. Dude, being a girl dad is the best. I was scared of it. I was super excited to have a son as my firstborn, and we were really nervous and concerned about having a daughter. I was like, oh no, this is going to be crazy. And she's the light of my life, man. I mean, she runs the house. She has me wrapped around her finger. She tells me what to do. And I let her do that. I want her to look at men as people she can tell what to do. And, you know, she's like a little appendage. She's just always on my lap or sitting near me. And it's amazing to have a little girl.
It's the best ever, man. I mean, I grew up with I have a sister, but she lived in Montana basically when I was all grown up, but I had brothers around me here in KC. So having the girl life, it's awesome. Sometimes a little bit emotionally charged, and I'm learning to process through that. But it's been really good, man. No complaints at all. And so you were born and raised in KC? Did you graduate from Raytown? What? I don't think you live in KC now, but I know you're.
So yeah. No, I was born in Kansas City, grew up in Raytown for the younger years of my life, then moved to Overland Park, and then I graduated. Well, I didn't graduate, but I went to high school at AEP, which is in Mission off of Johnson Drive. It's an alternative school. So, but I never graduated. I actually had the opportunity to go on tour when I was 18, getting ready to graduate. And I was like, look, I want to be a rap artist anyways. Yep. So I'm not going to need a high school diploma. So I dropped out as a senior to go on tour, but not like irresponsibly. I had something else in mind. So I pursued that, and luckily it worked out.
Love it, man. Yeah. Been following you for years since, I think it was even before the viral pancake video on YouTube that everybody's like, oh, the pancake guy. I'm like, well, he was making music before that. Like, you've been doing, you were doing battle rap, like you're doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So been following you for years. It's an honor to have you on the channel, man.
Dude, it's an honor to be here. I'm a big fan of your content. I used to, well, I still do, but one of my favorite pastimes is on Sunday night. I put Chiefs games, the highlights that the NFL uploads, where I will put those on and watch them on YouTube before bed. I kind of lay on the couch with the lights off, and I'll turn the highlights of the game on. And what would happen earlier this season is I would turn the highlights on and fall asleep, and then my autoplay on YouTube would just start going through other Chiefs content. And I remember multiple times in a row, I would wake up hearing "Let's go, let's freaking go," and your videos would be on. And I was like, who is this guy? And then I started watching you, and then I subscribed, and I became a fan of your channel, and I don't miss a video now. So it's cool, and I appreciate all the respect, but just know that you have a fan on the other side of this camera too. And I love your content. I love what you do. I'm super inspired by your approach to YouTube, and it's Thanks, put bro. Me in a place. I think I told you this over text. It's made me kind of rethink my approach, where instead of trying to drop these like big viral 50 million view videos once every 6 weeks, like, man, keep the content cranking out and stay connected with the audience on a day-to-day basis, and do these live streams and actually have this community that you cultivate. It's really dope to watch you do it and succeed. So I appreciate everything you said, but the feeling is mutual.
Hey man, I won't forget when you DM'd me. It was a few months ago, maybe give or take, and I was like, I DM'd you years back, like a few years ago.
I saw that.
And I wasn't offended, dude. I have so many unreads right now. It's insane. You're a big artist. When I was making music, I think I was like, I'm just gonna take a shot and see if Mac wants to potentially hop on a song. And then you DM me back like 3 years later, just now seeing that first message. You're like, oh, dude. I love that you made music, but just so you know, I'm a big fan of your YouTube channel. And I was like, what the heck? So that was super cool, man. Growing up for you, being a Chiefs fan was probably going against the grain a little bit more than it is now. It's very popular to be a Chiefs fan, right? Everybody loves Mahomes. I think that's part of the reason my channel has kind of popped, is because everybody loves the Chiefs right now. I mean, especially with Mahomes over the past 5 years. So I'm saying all that to say, what was it like for you growing up as a Chiefs fan? What were some of your fondest memories? Did you grow up, were you a Chiefs fan, like diehard, born and raised? Like what was kind of your story as far as like Chiefs fandom goes?
So my first foray into being a Chiefs fan was Steve DeBerg was the quarterback. I have been a fan since my mom and I used to sit in the living room and watch Chiefs games when I was in elementary school. I mean, I went through the Steve DeBerg years, Joe Montana, Marcus Allen going to the AFC Championship in 1993, and Joe Montana gets knocked out and losing the AFC Championship to the Bills. A lot of really rugged years, Priest Holmes, Larry Johnson, those years, Tony Gonzalez, of course. It's been hard. I think that it's crazy to see what it's become now. With obviously Patrick Mahomes, he's created an almost industry around the Chiefs, and we're getting to the point where not only are the Chiefs super popular, but we're almost getting like hated on by people around the country. It's almost like that the new Patriots almost. Obviously the titles aren't there, but it's like cool to hate on the Chiefs now. People don't want the Chiefs to succeed because of the overwhelming amount of success that they've had. And here's the thing, man. And I'm sure you say the same thing. You could tell me your story too, but after spending so many years being heartbroken, the Romeo Crennel years, the Dick Vermeil, Gunther Cunningham, going through that, and then getting close with Alex Smith, Jamal Charles, and like the Andrew Luck game was probably the most heartbroken I've ever been by a sports event in my life, to the point where I didn't really engage with the Chiefs for an entire year afterward, because I started questioning, what am I doing to myself by experiencing this? I mean, it was so gut-wrenching to watch that game. It was heartbreaking. And then Andy comes on board, Pat comes on board, and just Pat being a part of this has revolutionized everything for us and for me and for you. And my fondest memories have honestly been the last 5 years. I loved Alex. I loved Jamal. They got close, but man, what Pat has done has changed the fabric of me as a sports fan. And I think we're getting what we've always wanted. It's like we planted seeds for decades, and now we're finally harvesting those fruits that we planted. And it obviously started with Andy 2013 coming here. And man, it's just been a wonderful experience, and I don't feel bad or guilty about it at all. Like, I want more championships, more Super Bowls. Bring it, like, year after year after year. I want everybody to hate Mahomes 20 times more than they hated Tom Brady. Let's go. Like, let's go. I want more of this. So yeah, man, it's been a wild, exhausting, gut-wrenching ride, and it's finally paying off.
Yeah, man. I was born into a Chiefs loving family. I was born in 91. So like probably the late 90s is when I really started able to remember, like, having childhood memories of watching the Chiefs, DT, Neil Smith. Yeah, then the early years with Trent Green, Jamal Charles, the Priest Holmes years. Yeah, so definitely had all those. There were some great fun times. I remember every Sunday watching with the fam, my dad throwing bad call bricks, the foam bricks, at the big old tube TV every time the Chiefs made it mad, which was literally every game. So yeah, definitely grew up, loved the Chiefs. It was harder to love the Chiefs then at times. But yeah, the past 10 years since Andy Reid has been here, it's weird because you see it day by day, right? You've seen the rise of the Chiefs day by day, basically, since Andy Reid has been here. It's been slow, but at the same time, you look back and you're like, holy smokes. I mean, they like really haven't plateaued. And it's still rising. Mahomes coming. I mean, dude, 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. This is freaking insane. I mean, I was just on a podcast recently with Urinating Tree and 5 Point. They are a couple big NFL YouTubers in the space, but they were just encouraging us as Chiefs fans to enjoy every single second right now, because it's hard to get to the top. It's hard to get to the big game. I mean, and they were saying this kindly, but they said, you could not make it back to the big game for decades. I think with Mahomes and Coach Reid, we have a shot at coming back almost every year, but they're just saying enjoy it, man. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm soaking it in. Year 1 on my channel, Super Bowl bound, soaking this in and just trying to enjoy it and hoping for a dub.
Yeah. I think that we're in really good hands. The business model that Brett Veach has, which obviously trading Tyreek Hill, this idea of treating draft picks like gold and not using them as bait to trade for more expensive veterans, and actually trying to hit on as many draft picks as possible and cultivating those young players in the system, knowing that Mahomes is so versatile and can play any style of football that he wants, and he is going to take good green guys and make them better. He's so talented that business model works, and we're in really good hands, and we all have faith. We look at Patrick, we look at Andy, we're like, look, man, we're probably going to do this a few more times at least. That being said, you cannot take this for granted, just like you said. I mean, you got to really enjoy this while it's here. Listen, man, like, if I became a Chiefs fan when I was, 6, 7 years old, and I didn't see them go to the Super Bowl for 30 years, almost 30 plus years, just as a fan of my own. And that one AFC championship before the 2018 AFC champion, one single AFC championship that we lost to the Buffalo Bills, Thurman Thomas, Jim Kelly, Don Beebe, Andre Reed, like that. They were the team back then. And we made it there with Joe Montana, Marcus Allen. And then we were never again. We didn't get to taste it ever again. You have to know that this is special, and it's important to really not take this for granted. And I'm just happy that all of us appreciate what's happening. I mean, look at the Bengals or the Bills, even them getting this close this year for those teams. And we're obviously happy to see them not get in the big game, but neither team has won a Super Bowl. And those fans are hurting and yearning for it. And they have rosters that are talented enough to get them that close. And they're still not able to do it. And you have to look at that and know that that's a real experience that people have. And that's not the experience we have right now. And just appreciate every second of this, because we have that dude captaining the ship that is going to put us in position every single year as long as he's physically capable of it. And even when he's not, even when he's hobbling on one foot, we still have a chance. We're witnessing history. This is our greatest moments as Chiefs fans. Appreciate them. It's super important too. So I agree with everything you just said.
What's your greatest memory as a Chiefs fan? Just all growing up, but then also part B is within the past 5 years as well. Maybe the answer is both within the past 5 years. Mine's winning the Super Bowl against the Niners. I mean, that for me, well, I was like, nothing tops it so far. I want another one, but what about you, man?
So just to give you an answer that is maybe more out of the box, kind of the theme of what we've been talking about. So for me, I have a really interesting experience that no one else has gotten to experience, which is Jamal Charles followed me on Twitter and sent me an autographed jersey. And there was a time when the Chiefs, dude, it gets even doper. The Chiefs we made it super deep into the talks where their marketing team was going to bring me on to film a speed rap where I rapped about stadium conduct policy, and they were going to play it at Arrowhead every game, where I was going to explain, here's the fire exits. Yeah, it didn't happen. Somebody, I don't even know what the person's name was. I know the great people that tried to make it happen, and I love them forever, but the person at the very top killed the idea and it never got to happen. But in doing all of this, I did. Yeah, I really wanted that to happen, but I didn't get to do it. But in doing all of that, I got Jamal Charles signed jersey given to me. And he, outside of Mahomes and some of the current roster, the stars that we all love today that are going to be legends to us forever, Jamal Charles is probably my favorite Chiefs player of all time, outside of the current guys. So that was a really cool memory. My favorite memory of the last 5 years outside of winning the Super Bowl has to be 13 seconds. That was, it's insane that happened. And that I remember watching that and just being like, you have to be kidding me. And every night for a month after that, rewatching the final, the entire 30-minute clip of the last couple minutes of that game, watching it every day, just in utter disbelief that was a thing that we got to witness. I mean, it was bananas that happened. So I would say the last 5 years outside of the big 49ers Super Bowl dub, definitely the Grim Reaper 13 seconds, just the sequence of plays, the Hill, Kelsey field goal. That was something special to watch, man. You don't get to see that ever. And so that was awesome.
Dude, I started my channel that morning, actually. The first video is so cringy. It was an injury report, and I was no personality, nothing on the background. I didn't know what I was doing. But that helped pop my channel, for one. But two, I remember watching it, and I remember it was, I think it was the last Bills touchdown with, was it 13 seconds? Because did they kick a touchback after that touchdown?
Yes,
the Bills.
They kicked the touchback.
Okay, so it was 13 seconds. I think
17 seconds. They kicked the touchback. So it was Gabe Davis got that. I can't remember
wide open.
Somebody slipped and he
got juked out of his soul.
Oh my! It was a stake through your heart. You could, and you hear Jim Nantz. He even goes, Tony, the Chiefs can try to do something here. You hope they can do something. And Tony's sitting there going, wow, Josh Allen, Mr. Ice in his veins. They showed Josh Allen's dad. His family is celebrating, crying. They're like, he's going to he won. He beat the Chiefs. They're going to the AFC Championship. He couldn't believe it. 13 seconds on the clock or whatever it is, 17 seconds. And then they kicked the touch. Dude, that was unreal. And it was it was over. It was over. And then it wasn't.
Yeah, I remember That was the second part of what I was gonna say. Is I remember after that last touchdown, and me and my wife were watching it, like yelling silently into couch pillows because our kids were sleeping. But I remember looking over at her, and I told her, I was like, "Yo, I'm normally pretty optimistic about Mahomes and company being able to pull this off," but I said, "The Bills might be moving on," and they proved me all the way wrong, and I could not believe it.
I mean, it puts so much fear in you that, like, even last week when the Bengals had 3 seconds left, you're going like, I don't know, man, that maybe they could make something happen. Like no amount of time is safe if Mahomes is on the field. And yeah, I mean, there is nobody out there that could confidently say like, no, we're going to be fine. Like it was over. And then it wasn't. And I screamed too, man. Like that was one of the most exhilarating things I think I've ever seen as a Kansas City sports fan. There were some Royals moments, obviously, in their World Series run, but like, man, that's gotta be like the top experience, just like unbelievable. Something that just, I would be curious to know the probability on that. It's probably like 0.0001% that would happen. And life-changing. I still watch it like once every couple of weeks now. I'm just like, you can't believe that it happened. So that's gotta be up there, man.
So there it is. That game happened. Obviously, I was at the AFC Championship game last year. Chiefs fall, second half collapse. We know how that went. Then the offseason occurs. They trade away Tyreek. Very surprisingly, I believe that's a Tyreek Hill jersey, unless it's an older reference.
No.
Oh, it's Pacheco. Let's go, dude. So they trade away Tyreek, who I thought jersey you're wearing, but you've got Pacheco. I like that. The young bull. Yeah, all that happened, all the talk. Chiefs may not even win the West. Rich Eisen had the Raiders winning. Russell Wilson comes over. People have the Broncos winning, and we know how that went. Side note, I think Sean Payton was a good pickup. That's a whole nother convo for a later time. But anyway, all that happened. Chiefs prove them all wrong again. They're back here in the big game. You could either talk about, I guess, question would be, anything surprise you this season with Tyreek gone? And then I wanted to transition from there into the big game and just give some thoughts on playing the Eagles and what you're looking for in this game. So
I think that you always have to be optimistic with Andy Reid, and I think it starts there. And Veach, you got to be optimistic. And I think that all of us were going, look, still got Mahomes, still got Travis, still got Chris Jones. We still have weapons. Losing Tyreek was shocking. And
yep.
I don't think that there were a lot of people that were fully confident in what Veach was doing. But now in hindsight, it's really easy to look at and be like, okay. And look, man, I feel like maybe they obviously, aside from the cap hit that he would have been, they had to have felt that Pat and Tyreek had not necessarily run its course, but it was going to be too easy and too predictable to stop at that point, as you saw the Bengals do by cutting off the deep threat, dropping back 8 like that. And that became a blueprint. Yeah. Now, I'm not sure if that was the reason that they traded away Tyreek as much. It was just the cap hit that was going to be and the money that he wanted. But I think that it was surprising to see the new offensive style that Andy was using. And there was a lot of surprises. I think that also at the same time, in hindsight, it's easy to look at this and go like, yeah, this makes sense. And the pieces that they've acquired and, MVS, Juju, those guys quickly started showing signs of like, okay, there is a blueprint here. There's a formula here that we can follow that's going to be unpredictable and kind of gutting people open with the short game. And it's like, look, man, like nobody loved seeing it, but at the same time, it quickly started becoming fruitful. And I would say that it would probably be the Cardinals game, the blowout. And you're going,
Week
okay,
1.
Yeah. You're looking at that going like, I think that we might be all right. It's going to work. I really appreciate what Veach is doing with trying to just utilize Pat's versatility and just hit on draft picks as much as possible. And I like the idea of not relying on old vets and expensive weapons. And I think that it's going to be fruitful for a long time. What about you? What was surprising for you?
I mean, I had the Chiefs going 12-5, maybe 13-4, still winning their division, or at the very worst, wild card. I mean, when you just looked at their schedule and you're just unsure with Tyreek gone, they went young through the draft, second youngest average age defense in the NFL. I think it just surprised me how they not only just didn't skip a beat with Tyreek gone, they were just fine. Number one offense, most points per game. I mean, for a long time there, and then especially in the back half of the season, I mean, highest red zone TD percentage in the league. I mean, they're the past like 5 weeks, they're at an 82% red zone TD percentage. Pat Mahomes, I mean, I did not predict Patrick Mahomes having a league MVP season, and he's going to win it Thursday night. So we're recording on Wednesday. Today's Wednesday, the 8th. He's going to win it Thursday night, tomorrow night at the Honors. I mean, that was surprising. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised anymore, but you just had all that talk by everybody he traded away, well, not Mahomes, but the Chiefs traded away Tyreek Hill, wide receiver 1. I mean, Travis Kelce, okay, it's his own. We know. But they trade away Tyreek, and he's going to win league MVP. I mean, that's freaking insane.
That would probably be, when you phrase it like that, that would probably be the most surprising thing, is the fact that
wild.
It's not only that they didn't miss a beat and that they're fine and still competent and there's still enough weaponry. Like, they started bringing on, when they signed Juju, I'm like, yeah, okay, I like that. I like that's, it's like a kind of a almost a tight end, and you're going like, this could work. This you got Andy Reid, tight end specialist, and they're bringing in a receiver that's more like so you're looking at that going like, okay, this could work. To win MVP, to be in the Super Bowl and win MVP. No one was saying that. Like, you're not going to find me a single tweet by a person when we traded away Tyreek going like, no, watch, Pat's going to be MVP this year. Arguably, not because of it, not like since Tyreek isn't on the field, Pat is now the MVP, but it kind of is because it forced them to create new schemes, and that in turn made Pat play at an MVP level, and he's going to win it, which is crazy. Nobody could have said that was going to happen. Nobody thought that. Nobody thought that. The people thought that we were going to maybe not even get out of fourth place. Like, you had Bart Scott saying we weren't going to make the playoffs, and you had all this stuff going on in the West with Russ coming over here, and people are going, man, the Broncos they're going to be a nightmare for the Chiefs. And it's like, no, we pretty quickly saw that wasn't the case. And then slowly but surely, Tua got hurt, Jalen Hurts got hurt. And then all of a sudden, Pat is the MVP. And you're like, what? How? So that's got to be the most surprising and pleasing thing of the season for sure. I mean, it has to be. There are like little moments like Pop Pacheco coming over, Kadarius Toney coming over. There's things like that have been exciting. One of the things that's been exciting to me has been Trent McDuffie and some of the younger defensive pieces being fruitful. That's been really exciting. But Pat being MVP without Tyreek Hill is like doing the exact opposite of what everybody around sports media says was going to happen. Has to be the biggest, most pleasant surprise for sure.
Yeah, I think you could have our own podcast episode on the defensive surprises, because there's quite a bit. But yeah, Jalen Watson's a big one. Even Josh Williams, he's drawn some flags. He's struggled at times, but coming from a D2 school, Fayetteville State, I mean, that's a huge leap. And he's been thrown to the wolves, and he's survived it. And you love to see that, man. Isaiah Pacheco was a big surprise to me. Like, you saw the trends happening in training camp, especially when he started getting reps with the ones over Ronald Jones. I was like, whoa, this is pretty crazy. 7th round draft pick. What is going on? You love to see it. I don't know if you saw this, but Isaiah Pacheco said in a presser yesterday, I believe, he broke down privately with his parents, just overwhelmed by being here. You know, he lost his brother. You sent me that video, his story. You know his family story. It's crazy. Losing both siblings in college, now being here year one in the Super Bowl. You got to love to see it. And that brings us, bro, to today and now. The Chiefs defied the odds, got the first round bye, which that was a crazy situation how they got the 1 seed with DeMar. Like, there was still a shot the Chiefs could have had the 1 seed prior. You know, I think the Bengals would have had to win that game that DeMar Hamlin got injured, and then the Bills would have had to lose. I think they would have won. I think they would have won, but the Bills would have had to lose against the Patriots on Sunday for the Chiefs to get the first seed. Either way, we can't help that. The Chiefs can't help that. Get the 1 seed, beat Jacksonville on one ankle, beat the Bengals on one ankle, practice squad wide receiver. The defense played lights out. I mean, you got to tip your cap to Spags. He out chess matched Burrow. Yeah.
To know that he in the first matchup, was it week 10? Was that the first Bengals game? What was the first Bengals game?
I think it was 13. I'm almost positive.
Was it week 13? Okay, 13. That sounds right. To know that he intentionally hid looks that he knew he was going to use. And that was, like, you hoped for that. You were going, please let me find out that he is playing 4D chess and that they like trotted out defensive schemes that they're definitely not going to use or didn't show their full hand. To find out he actually did that was brilliant. And you got to tip, he gets a lot of flack. And I feel like man, you got to tip your cap to him. When he does brilliant stuff, it's brilliant. And you got to tip your cap to Spags for sure.
Yeah, and we'll move on from this game because it's done and Super Bowl's here, but that was with L'Jarius Sneed getting concussed on the third play. They had to go semi-vanilla in their secondary scheme after that happened because Sneed was a big part of the game plan. So not only did he fool Burrow, but dude, he did it with even more of a vanilla scheme than planned. And I'm glad Sneed's back, cleared protocol. Let's actually transition to that. Let's talk Chiefs and injuries leading up to this game because there's quite a bit to at least keep an eye on, and the first injury report should drop today for the week. But so you have Sneed, which we talked about. He got cleared from concussion protocol, great. But I'm still curious, how's Willie Gay Jr. and his shoulder, and then the receiving core? Kadarius Toney, ankle. Juju Smith-Schuster, knee. Obviously, McColl is on IR. Justin Watson, he should be back. He was sick last game, but then Patrick Mahomes and his ankle. Do these injuries concern you? What are your thoughts so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're always concerned. I think that everybody should be. But I also know, listen, Jalen Hurts is dealing with the shoulder injury as well. And you don't make it to the Super Bowl without your team being banged up. There's no example of a team being 100%. Nobody's injured. Everybody feels great going into the Super Bowl. It sucks that a lot of these injuries happened last week. Juju and his knee, Willie Gay Jr., Kadarius's ankle. But you just hope that you got one more game, put it all on the line, get out there. Hopefully, they had 2 weeks to recover. I saw today, Andy said something to the effect, and you never know if you need to take this with a grain of salt or not, but Andy said Pat wasn't 100%, and I don't know if that's a chess move or if he's being honest. But look, they're dealing with injuries too, and those guys are not 100% either. And you hope that these guys have recovered enough and have the intestinal fortitude to go out there and grit through just one more game and keep doing what they've been doing all year and put it on what I feel is an overrated Eagles squad. And that's all you can hope for. But it is concerning. I think there was a lot of injuries and uncharacteristic amount of injuries all in one game with key pieces. But at the same time, hey man, next guy up, and you hope for the best. And as far as I know, Jalen's shoulder is still hurting him, and he hasn't been throwing well. So let's hope that it's a great equalizer in all of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's serious run threat with those guys, but I'm going to dive into this subject on a video here soon about Hurts' shoulder and his performance since hurting it. But yeah, serious run threat, which thankfully for them, it's not his ankle, or they would be in a bit more trouble. But yeah, his rushing yard stats overall have regressed. The passing stats overall have regressed, all since coming back from the shoulder injury. But I want to circle back to something you said. You said something along the lines of, in your eyes, a highly overrated, or at least an overrated Eagles team. You want to elaborate on why you think that? I'm just curious.
I think that it would probably be related to the caliber of team that they've played this year and the fanfare that they've gotten for it. And I feel like maybe in the case of the Chiefs, they've been under such a microscope and they're such a juggernaut that the criticism and all of the things that people have said have not necessarily been applied to the Eagles. I mean, the Eagles played the Giants, who I also feel were pretty overrated this year, 3 times. And I don't think that they're quite the juggernaut that people are saying that they are. And to me, it's more about the caliber of team that they've played all year. And look, the NFC Championship, you're talking about a 49ers team that was so banged up at quarterback, they brought their third stringer back in because just to give Christian McCaffrey the ball. He couldn't even pass it. And I mean, I don't know if these are fair representations of what the 49ers would have actually been. You know, they got beat by the Cowboys. They had a tough one against the Jags, and they also had a close game against the Colts, which I think they won by 1 point.
Yeah,
but I look at it and I just go, look, like they're not like these executioners that I think people are suggesting they are. Now, I hope that this doesn't come back to bite me in the ass, but at the same time, I'm going like, look, they're a great squad, but at the same time, I don't know, man. I know that the media has a lot of recency bias and they love to crown new kings, and the Eagles were kind of the perfect fit for that this year. They are methodical with how they move the ball. The defense they put up a lot of great numbers and more sacks than the Chiefs by, I don't know what the exact, but it's like
70.
15 or 7. How many do the Chiefs have?
Yeah, you're right in your math. It's 15 more than the Chiefs, who have 55.
15 more than the Chiefs. Look, that's great. But who did they do that against? And again, I realized that in hindsight, the Chiefs' schedule was not as hard. Everybody was saying it was historically the toughest schedule of all time. And before the season, that may have been true. It turned out to maybe not be quite as true at the end of the season in hindsight. But look, like, who of the Eagles, what great juggernaut team have the Eagles came out and grinded a win out against? Who did they do that against any time in the season that's of the caliber of Joe Burrow and the Bengals? That's all I'm saying is I don't feel like they are this juggernaut that people are making them out to be. I don't know how you feel about them.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly interesting because we look at it from that perspective, and it totally makes sense to me. I kind of see where you're coming from, and I pretty much agree to multiple aspects, and then also Jalen Hurts' shoulder being an issue too. But even in spite of that, I mean, I just saw today an ESPN article dropped where they had like 50 or 60 something people picking. It was like either writers or analysts or different people that worked for ESPN picking who they thought was going to win the Super Bowl. And it was like 46 or something, or it was like, almost 50 people picked the Eagles and like 20, 23 or something. I mean, I'm getting the numbers wrong, but it was like almost double picked the Eagles and the Chiefs. And I'm like, I just don't know, man. Andy Reid is 3-0 against the Eagles. They beat him last year. I know the Eagles aren't the same team. It's no discredit to them. They've gotten better, but I would argue, so have the Chiefs on defense.
Yes.
Especially.
Yes. 100%. And Andy is also 3-0 against the Chiefs when he was the coach of the Eagles too. I mean, it's look, man, do you feel like Jalen and AJ are as good or better than Joe Burrow and Jamar? I don't know. I don't feel like they're necessarily as talented. And I just, it's hard to say. People love recency bias. They love crowning new.
Yeah.
They love the new thing on the block. And Jalen Hurts and the Eagles is an easy team to say, oh, they're going to demolish the Chiefs. Finally, somebody will do it. And I don't know, man. Like I saw Dan Patrick say that he thinks that this is on the Rich Eisen show, that he thinks that the Eagles might win by double digits. It might be a blowout. And I'm like, historically, over the past, I don't know how many seasons, name one time the Chiefs have gotten blown out. That doesn't happen to the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm looking for I just want the evidence that people are citing when they say this, other than their win record and all that stuff. I mean, look, they put up great stats and they have great guys on the team, but have they played the caliber of opponent that the Chiefs have? And are those stats really indicative of a team that's going to go out and do the same thing that they've done to other teams that they did to the Saints and the Bears? Can they do that to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, mind you? This is the other thing, is Patrick Mahomes has been in a Super Bowl not once, not twice, but now 3 times. And they have a couple of guys, Jason Kelce, who's been in the Super Bowl on the Eagles before. What players off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, I mean, a couple of the linemen, and I'm sure some of their defenders, but it's not a lot, I don't believe. I'm not as knowledgeable on that side of the ball, to be honest, the Eagle side.
It's a big game. A lot of things have to go right. And if things start going sideways for Jalen Hurts, does he have the ability to compose himself and dig himself out of a hole like that? Like we know that Patrick does in a Super Bowl situation, in a high pressure situation like this. This is a new experience to a lot of the Eagles. And you just wonder how many of these things are going to contribute. That all being said, I could be wrong, but I don't think that I am. I think that this is going to be at least a very close game. And hopefully the Chiefs grind out a dub.
Yeah. Some people they're attempting to compare the feeling of this game to the Chiefs and the Bucs in 2020. But dude, you cannot, I just don't see that, because the Chiefs O-line is completely intact. I just don't see it. And honestly, I feel more confident personally going into this game than I was against the Bengals. I still think it's going to be a close game, but dude, yeah, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, I understand he's weakened with the ankle a little bit, and I do have some questions about Kadarius Toney and Juju, but I mean, I think they can make it happen. I'll be curious to hear your thoughts on a prediction. I'll give mine, and then we'll pass it back to you. But so yeah, that's what some people are saying. They're saying it's feeling reminiscent to Chiefs and Bucs, and they feel like the Eagles could kind of run away with it. I'm over here kind of what you said, looking at who they've played, looking at Hurts and the injured shoulder. If the Chiefs can somewhat stop the run early on and get ahead, it's going to force the Eagles to throw and to try to put points on the board quickly, as they're used to just running the ball. I mean, they run the ball third most of any team in the NFL, I believe the stat is. And I just don't know if I see that. Now, can the Chiefs lose? Yeah, but I have them winning right now, 30-24. It's kind of where I'm sitting. Andy Reid and his veteran experience, Spags and his veteran experience. I mean, I think Spags said this is Super Bowl 5 for him. I mean, they know what's good. Obviously, the defense is really young, but I still think the Chiefs can get it done and win this game. What are your thoughts on prediction? Where are you leaning?
Yeah, I agree with you, especially with the approach. And I look at guys like Trent McDuffie. They're well-composed, high-character individuals that they know what time it is. They know what they're getting into. They have the intellectual bandwidth to come into something like this. And then they have great leadership, which is an element that can't be discounted. Spags, Andy, Travis, Patrick, Eric Bieniemy, these guys have been here multiple times. They know how to keep players' emotions from peaking. They know that they have a lot of young guys that are overly excited, and they know how to keep that all kind of at bay and remind them, look, we still got to go win this game. This isn't about coming on vacation to Arizona and doing media. We got to come out there and win the game. And I'm not saying that the Eagles don't have the ability to do that, but the Chiefs definitely have the edge on them when it comes to experience, which in the Super Bowl is one of the most important things. I think that the secondary is underrated. I think that a lot of the national media doesn't actually understand our secondary and maybe skews the stats based on when Trent McDuffie was injured. Willie Gay Jr. was out on the vacuum cleaner charges.
Yeah.
Look, man, I think that everything that you said is probably true and accurate, and it's not going to be this like feasting session for Jalen Hurts and his receiver core that the sports media thinks it is. And yeah, I'd maybe have it a little higher scoring, maybe 33-27 Chiefs, but I'm kind of right there aligned with you on the approach to winning. And I don't know, man. I just don't see it. Again, could be wrong. Is this a winnable game for the Eagles? Absolutely. They're the 1 seed in the NFC and they're in the Super Bowl. They're obviously a team that knows how to win games, but reminiscent of the Bucs game, I don't buy it. Look, like we have weak links at the O-line. I mean, but it's not this depleted, practice squad O-line that the Tampa Bay got to face. I mean, we have, real guys and they're not going to be able to feast on the Chiefs like the Bucs did. So I don't see it. I'm with you.
Yeah, and I realize the Eagles, like their D-line's great, 70 sacks, 4 pass rushers have 10 sacks or more, which is freaking nuts. But dude, I think nuts. I think Mahomes and his experience from losing in 2020 to battling through the growing pains with playing against the too high shell the first half of last season with Tyreek Hill, and just how much he's grown from all that, since all that. Andy Reid at the helm, Travis Kelce in there, Chris Jones and Frank Clark, and the other pieces that they do have, Snead healthy. Willie Gay is a question mark to me, like how healthy is this man? Because he's one of the most athletic linebackers the Chiefs have, and I would think they would use him in certain ways to either spy Hurts, utilize his speed and athleticism to help with the run game. But dude, it's very winnable for the Chiefs. I'm going with the Chiefs. I understand I'm a Chiefs fan. Maybe I'm a bit biased. I just don't think it's going to be a blowout. And I think the Chiefs can walk away with another one.
Yes. So do I. I think so too. I think it's obviously biased. I am openly biased as a Chiefs fan, but listen, their stats are incredible, but the teams that they did it against are not. And I'm like, hey man, we're going to find out. That's the beautiful thing is we're going to go and watch them play the game on Sunday. And then we'll know how accurate our theories are, but I don't see it. I mean, I don't know. We're going to find out.
Exactly. I'm definitely excited to just see the game, see how it plays out. Cause it could go a couple different ways, but at the end of the day, I don't care if the Chiefs win by 1. I don't care if they win by 21, just get the dub. Let's have another parade and get the trophy paraded around the city, man. It'd be just great for the city. I do want to ask you another question here before we get off. It's halftime show. So Rihanna, and you're a music artist, so I'm just curious, do you think potentially this halftime show could be better than last year's? I mean, and what did you think of last year's? Because it was really hip-hop heavy. That was Dr. Dre.
Was that Dre and Snoop? Oh, man.
I think it was Dre, Snoop, Eminem, and 75 Cent. Yeah.
That was a pretty good halftime show. So as a hip-hop artist, as hip-hop artists, I'm not sure. I don't know, man. It's going to be tough for Rihanna to do a better halftime show than Dre and Snoop and 75 Cent and Eminem did. But I mean, dude, that was really cool too. They had the neighborhood, the house setup thing and the cars. I don't know, man. That's a tough act to follow. But still, my favorite of all time is Prince. So she's not going to be able to top Prince. So that's all that matters to me is she going to be able to play her hit song with pouring torrential rain coming down while she's in platforms playing the guitar the way that Prince did? Absolutely not. That's the crowning achievement of a halftime show for me. But I don't know, man. Maybe she'll do a good job. We'll see. I'll tell you one thing. It's going to be better than J-Lo. And what was
Shakira.
When the Chiefs played the 49ers, I was so stressed. Yeah. So it'll be better than that.
I was just curious your opinion on that being an artist. So, and then, dude, I should have plugged this earlier and I forgot, but I want to talk about it. You dropped a single in like 2020, a Chiefs anthem, which got almost 1 million views, I think, on YouTube. It probably did more on other platforms, which is awesome. My girls love to watch it. But then you just dropped another one like a few days ago, maybe last week, it was earlier this week. So you want to plug that? I'm also curious, while you plug it, how many hours does that take you to write? And what are some of the aspects behind that?
Yeah. The year that we won the Super Bowl, I did one, and I did the song. And as you said, it's got some good views on YouTube. And then the next year I had COVID and I didn't do one, and we lost to Brady and the Bucks. And I remember going like, man, when we got back in this year, when we beat the Bengals, I was sitting there going, I have to do another one because clearly it's my fault that we didn't win the Super Bowl against Tom Brady and the Bucks because I didn't make an anthem about it. So it felt more like an obligation just because of sports superstition. So it was like, I need to definitely make an anthem this year just because if I don't, I'm going to feel like it's my fault again. Obviously, completely ridiculous, preposterous idea, but it felt that way. So I made one. I started writing it the second that Butker hit the field goal.
Nice.
I didn't waste any time because that stuff takes a while to write sometimes. And I have to coordinate with my producer, Seven, who made the instrumental.
Oh, nice.
And we went through a couple of different tracks that he would make one and it just wasn't working for me. So it took a couple, that can be a bit of a process. So, it takes multiple days. And I remember the night I filmed it, I was up until, and I don't do this, I have kids, that you can't do this. I was up until 7 o'clock in the morning. So that was way past my bedtime. So it took days of nonstop work and writing and rewriting and filming. And I'm happy with how it came out. And then I gave it to my friend Josh and Haley, and they did the editing and animating on the video version
that was sick,
it was sick, but it took them a couple of days to, string that all together because they took the footage and they syncopated it to the lyrics. So there's a part where I talk about Justin Herbert getting his rib bone cracked and they found footage and they had to edit it on beat. So it's a process. It's multiple days of staying up to just crazy hours in the middle of the night, 4, 5, 6 in the morning, and then trying to get it done because we're on time constraints. You want to put it out the 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl. So hopefully people, if I'm a Chiefs fan and somebody puts out a song that's about the Chiefs, that's helping me process my emotions and be excited about the game coming up. So it was I want to do this and with people that are Chiefs fans in mind, because give them something to listen to that, talks about, Pacheco and Trent McDuffie and L'Jarius Sneed and talk about some of the stuff the themes that we went through this season and trying to harness that. And there's a risk in dating it because I'm making it specific to that season. And then in 2 years, there's going to be a new roster of people in a lot of places. So it may not apply as much, but I'd rather do that than make a vague, go Chiefs song. I wanted to make it specific to a lot of the things that happened this season. And then, we go back to the Super Bowl again. I'll maybe make another one, assuming it works out and we win this year. But then I'll know it's a winning formula. If we win the Super Bowl this year, I'll know that I have to drop a Chiefs song every time we go to the Super Bowl because the year I didn't, we lost. Yes, exactly.
I did want to give a chance for you to plug your socials or where people can find music, follow you, stuff like that. If you wanted to, I wanted to give you that opportunity as well.
Yeah, man. I'm a Chiefs fan and I appreciate any Chiefs fans that are out there watching. And if you're interested in anything that I do, it's at Mac Lethal. Just that's where you can find me. That's where you can find my stuff. So I definitely appreciate all the love out there. And at Mac Lethal, youtube.com/Mac Lethal. Just check me out if you're interested in my stuff, and obviously go Chiefs. And the other thing I got to point out that is I see by your very red beard that you are a fellow Irishman as
Yes,
well.
sir.
Irish Kansas City rapper, pasty skin, Chiefs fan,
Yes, sir.
photographer, cinematographer, rapper, martial artist, father. Like we're like the same person basically. It's like it's crazy. It's awesome. No, man, I appreciate the inspiring content that you do and the work that I don't think people realize. And I'll say this for you because you can't say this for yourself because it's going to sound like you're patting yourself on the back. But I don't think a lot of people realize how hard it is to do YouTube at the level that you do it in terms of just cranking out daily content. It takes up every second of your day. And to watch you do that and then knowing that you have two beautiful little girls and a marriage and you have a whole life outside of that, it's very respectable for me. And I just appreciate everything you're doing with the channel. And I can't wait to watch your next video. And let's freaking go. Like I'm all about it, man.
Hey, man, I love that so much. I wouldn't be where I am without my wife's support, and her holding it down.
Definitely.
I mean, you know how it is as an artist, grinding, traveling, doing all. I mean, without her support, man, this channel wouldn't be what it is. I wouldn't have taken whatever the word is, the leap from the day job to do this in September. And so super grateful for my family. And yeah, it's a grind. I'm pretty exhausted. I'll be glad. It's like bittersweet. I'll be glad when the Super Bowl's over because I need to take a bit of a rest. But next season, I'm going to hire an editor and it's going to help. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, but it has been every day, sun up to sundown, minus Saturdays when I take it off with the fam. And it'll definitely help me if the Chiefs get this dub. Like I'll be like, it'll all have been worth it. So let's go.
Yes. Yes, that will help a lot. That'll help my new song too. Like because I talk about the Eagles and that. So if we could go ahead and win this Super Bowl, that way the song doesn't just hit a wall and die on Sunday, that would be great. Your channel, you get some awesome views and people will go back to old videos as they recap the season. So we need this win, man. We need a big dub on Sunday against this juggernaut Eagles squad. So let's hope that happens. And I want to say thanks and hi to any of your subscribers and fans. If you're like haven't heard of me before, you're new to me, maybe check me out if you get bored or whatever. And I'd appreciate
do it.
Checking me out, man. That'd be awesome. And anybody that already knows who I am or whatever, thanks for the support. I just super eternally grateful. I appreciate everybody out there and I appreciate you. And I hope everybody has an awesome and safe Super Bowl, win or lose. Remember, This is all for fun. This is entertainment. So let's go enjoy this very entertaining win on Sunday.
Hey, can you give us a how about those Chiefs?
How about those Chiefs?
Let's go.
How about those Chiefs?